Hello everyone, it is Mark the Crazy-Eyed Gardener with another video. And today I want to talk about the 10 reasons why I like to garden, why I want to garden. I'm actually going to do this in two parts. So this is actually the first of two videos. I'm going to break it out into my probably mostly top 5. And then a second video we'll talk about the other top 5. But I'm also going to throw it again in the end of each of these, a few what I'm going to call honorable mentions. I'm also going to tell you how I kind of came up with my list of why I want to garden. I think that's kind of an important process. It tells you a little bit about my personality. So I heard from another gardener, another YouTube channel. I think it was actually Gardener Scott, and he talked about why you want to garden, right? And my previous video was actually entitled, What is a Garden? For me, our garden, by the way, is going to be vegetables. It's going to be fruit trees, fruit bushes, fruit plants like strawberries. It's going to be maybe a small herb garden. It's going to be an area for relaxing for the family. My wife wants a jacuzzi. She needs it anyway. It's going to have eventually probably some chickens, but it's definitely going to have a couple of horses because we already have several. And so that'll definitely be part of what I'm going to call our garden. It's not a ranch. It's not a homestead. To me, it's still more of a garden. And I'm not going to do this all at once. Right now, we live in Bountiful, Utah, which is just north of Salt Lake City. And we believe that this year, and this is kind of our high level plan, is for some personal reasons, we're going to be moving from here, hopefully up to southeast Idaho. And so think about that Preston, Idaho region, that area. We've been up there already looking at houses. We've actually found one that we really like, but who knows if it's going to be available come June, July, right? When we believe that we'll be ready to make that decision. But we're looking for 2-5 acres, somewhere in there. Again, pasture for the horses. Again, I want to be able to have a garden. And we do also raise basset hounds. And speaking of that, if you want to see some fun videos of just some bass holes, just jump over to Bailey's Basset Hounds on YouTube and you can see those as well. But anyway, I don't want to digress too much here because I'm trying to keep these videos somewhat short. And hence why, again, I'm doing this in 2 sections. But when I came up with my list, I spent a few days just jotting some things down. And I am in IT and I work full time. And so I ended up putting them in Microsoft OneNote, kind of my list. And I kind of used a couple of days to update that list. And some of them didn't really make sense, or they were kind of combined into another, reason or something. So I kind of finally come down with I think it was about 18, but somewhere between 15 and 20 reasons why I want to garden. Well, me being me, and sometimes probably overly organized and just want to get down to the super details, I actually then said, okay, what are the primary ones, the really important ones? And I ended up with 10 of those, right? As I said, it's the title. And I came up with some secondary or some honorable mentions. On top of that, though, I took even a third level and went in and said, well, what's the percentage for those top 10 of 100%, right? I mean, again, it could be 5% for some, 10, 15% for others. But I wanted to break that out for my own edification, as it were. So that's kind of why I did that. So here are the first of the top 5. And number 1, and this is not going to make a lot of sense to you folks, and some of you anyway, is that I do it to attract birds and other wildlife, whether that's deer or rabbits, raccoons even, but squirrels for sure if there's in that area. But I am a fanatical bird watcher, have been my entire life. If there's any one passion, that's it. It's bird watching. It's not even bird photography, but I love photography too. And so bringing that in is part of that. But attracting the birds and the wildlife brings in color. It brings in some very cool noises. Matter of fact, I was out in the backyard just a little bit ago, and I heard a house, probably a male house finch. He was probably sitting on one of the tops of the trees, and he was singing to beat the band. you would have thought spring was here. But it's probably close to 40 degrees here today, and sun's bright and shiny, and maybe that was why. But that is my first reason. So what's my second reason for wanting to garden? It's in my blood, and that's another one. That may be a lower piece, but I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina when I was a kid, and then we moved to Twin Falls, Idaho when I was about 14 or so. We lived my high school years out there, loved Idaho, became an Idahoan at that point as well. So now I'm an Idahoan, North Carolinian kind of mix. But it's in my blood. My parents had gardens. My dad had a super green thumb. He probably had 2 green thumbs. And at my grandparents' property in a little town called Wendell, North Carolina, about 10 or 15 minutes outside of Raleigh, we had 2 1-acre gardens. And we spent a lot of our weekends in the spring and the summer and in the fall at my grandparents' property. And I loved being at the garden too. I didn't do as much work. I mean, I was pretty young, right? We're talking probably 4 to maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. I did some of the work, but I didn't do a ton. But I do remember it. Additionally, my mom's father, Paul, which is what we called him as our grandfather. That's actually what mine is in his honor. He also had a green thumb. He actually had a greenhouse in his yard. And they also, my grandmother Honey, they lived in Wendell as well. And he had a nice little garden, had some fruit trees, had the greenhouse. And I so vividly remember going into that greenhouse and smelling the dirt, the soil, the humidity. You know, you kind of feel that heat when going inside. But because this is North Carolina, it did get hot and humid. And there's a smell that comes with that. And I loved it. And I've done some gardening throughout the years. My first father-in-law, he was a pretty good gardener, Irv. And so I enjoyed watching him do his stuff. It would help a little bit, but mainly that. And I've done some gardening myself over the last 10 or so years. But it's been small. It's been around my own house. It's been flowers. Oh, that's the other one that when I talked about gardening, I'm going to definitely have flowers mixed in to my vegetable gardens and my herb or my fruit garden as well. It's all kind of a mixture. Mine's not just one type. It's going to be a mixture. Again, I want it to be, and this is the third reason right here, I want it to be a place that, number one, my wife can enjoy and can relax. But number 2, that our children, because between my wife and I, we have 5 daughters. Did he just say 5 daughters? I think he did. Yeah, that's right. 5 daughters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. And they range in age from 30 down to about, I think, 19. But one of them's with us now. But when we go, they're not going to be there. But we want our place, including our garden, but also our home, to be an inviting place that they want to come and spend a weekend. That they want to come and spend maybe a week. That they want to send our grandkids to. Hey, Paul, and Gigi, take our kids for a week. And we want the grandkids to enjoy it. And part of that is our garden. A relaxing place, yes, but a fun place. Maybe we have a 4-wheeler. We'll have the horses. They can go on a horseback ride. So we don't want to be in town. We'd rather be out in the country a little bit or something of that nature. But that's a third huge reason for us. What's a fourth reason? Well, I personally love to build things. Building things means kind of 2 different levels of that. It's building the garden overall, that high level, right? And I'm going to have a 5-year plan for that. That's what I'm thinking of now, not all at once. And then on top of that, it's actually building things like the compost bins. It's going to be building the raised beds of different types, of different sizes. It'll be doing some of the landscaping. I love that manual labor, that piece of it. I just enjoy that so much as well. The other part, though, when we talk about building, is I love the planning and the organizing and the preparing and getting the tools that I need and preparing a budget and the resources. I love all of that part of it too. And especially in the wintertime when you can't do much with your garden. Right now you can't go out and you could probably put some compost on top of a thing if there's no snow. But in southern Idaho and northern Utah, we've got snow generally speaking. Though today it's mostly gone. It just depends. But you can't do much in the garden, so a lot of planning. But if you enjoy the planning and the organizing and the preparing and ordering your seeds, it can actually almost be a full year of enjoyment. So again, that's the fourth reason, right? And the final one for today is that I want to feed my family. I want a nice sized garden that I can go out and enjoy, but I want it to be big enough that I can then harvest and feed myself and my wife to some degree, but also to be able to feed our kids, our grandkids, our family, extended family, our friends, our neighbors. I love giving fresh tomatoes to people. Why? Because I don't like tomatoes. I don't know how people eat these things. And I know you're going to think this is crazy because I'm going to plant a bunch of different tomatoes. One, to share them. That is one of it. But the other thing I do love, and this is kind of an odd one, I love the smell of the tomato plants on me. I don't like tomatoes. They're kind of doing. Now, I love ketchup. I love salsa. I love spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce. If it's made with tomatoes, I probably like it. But tomatoes themselves, tomato juice, tomato soup, not my cup of tea. So, but other things with tomatoes, love it. And again, I love growing them and I love that smell. Matter of fact, I love the smell so much. If you could make a men's either shampoo or cologne or one of those, what is those, like a Scentsy candle, where they put the wax in things or something like that, I'd buy it if it smelled like the tomato plant. That's how much I love this stuff. Yeah, I am quirky. So, but that's the first of the 5 reasons. Let's talk about a couple of honorable mentions or secondary reasons. And this is going to be kind of funny to some people. The first one is that's a secondary reason that's probably even lower on that list is saving money. I'm not doing a garden so that I never go to the grocery store or that because I can produce carrots cheaper than I can go buy them at Costco. I can get a 5-pound bag of carrots, the full ones, for $5. I don't know if I can do that by the time you add all in the money for the seed. If you add in, building the boxes, whether it's wood, whether it's going to be the vinyl, whatever I build it, right? The gas to go get, wood chips and soil mixtures and neighbors' leaves and stuff. Okay, and then my time. Okay, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to save money. If I can save a little bit of money as I'm doing this, that's great. The other secondary reason is that it's healthier food. I love Costco. We go to Costco for the rotisserie chickens, and we feed that to our dogs. We take the skin off, and we take it off the bone, we chop them up, and that's what we feed our basset hounds. It's healthier than probably 99% of that canned food crap. And we do feed them some dry, and there's other things they get too, but that's part of the mixture. But they do have good deals, especially because you're buying in bulk. But I don't know where those carrots came from. I don't know how they were grown. I don't know what pesticides or herbicides or how their dirt was done. I do, if I'm making the beds, I'm putting in some of the dirt and then making the good soil, mending that so it's a better soil, adding my own compost that I make in my own garden, then I know where that food's coming from and know it's organic. Or if I do put some fertilizer or some other things, some kind of insect repellent type things, which I'll try not to do because I prefer not to have any of that and let nature do its thing. At least I know what I'm doing. I know where it came from. I know that we're eating, our family, and on top of that, but also the dogs. And even the horses, because horses love carrots, let me tell you. Oh, and by the way, when we talk about that, what a natural fertilizer I'm going to have between, we use wood pellets and wood chips in some of the bedding, but then you get all that good horse poo, all that good manure, and even the urine, and we're going to have plenty of that nitrogen type, right? That really strong green stuff to add to the compost beds. Sometimes may even have too much. I may have to do a separate pile of it, but that's definitely going to be part of it. But that's 2 of the secondary reasons as well. Again, I'm going to do a second video with the other top 5, and then probably 3 or 4 other minor reasons. And then actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do one last minor one right now, and that is what I'm doing right here. having a YouTube channel. I just kind of think this is kind of cool, right? It takes a little bit of work, but I have been in IT. I'm a project manager, process engineer, very people-oriented, but very process-driven in all those pieces. I'm a puzzle person. I can put a puzzle together, I can take it apart and put it back. That's kind of my personality. So the planning, the organizing, and all that kind of goes in hand with that. But the YouTube channel, or maybe a blog as well, is kind of part of that. I don't think I'm ever gonna make money from YouTube. I'm not gonna be most likely like Gardner Scott or some of these that have the homesteads, or Mark from Self-Sufficient Me that has, I think, over 1 million viewers or 1 million subscribers. If I get a couple of thousand over time, phenomenal. And I'm going to talk more about that in my next one, because that is one of the other primary objectives, primary reasons for me gardening. But I do want to have a YouTube channel. And this to me is fun. Maybe I like to hear myself speak. I don't know. I don't think so. I try to be humble about things. I mean, we're gardeners, right? Gardeners are typically pretty humble folks. But anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. We'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. Click on that bell to be notified of future videos. Please look at our other videos, and I love your comments. If you've got reasons why you garden, put them in the comments below. If you have questions, put those down there as well. I'm definitely going to answer those, and I love to generate conversation and to share our knowledge and our experience. It's not just me. I am a novice at most of this. Hence why it's called our gardening adventure. It's not Mark's an expert, watching and see what he has on his YouTube channel. No, Mark's not an expert. Mark's learning. His wife, Deanne, she's learning too. But we can share those. So again, in the comments, put what you think. Let me know if there's something in this video that you'd rather me do or not do, and how I do things. I'm always open to feedback. Well, great. I appreciate it, my brothers and sisters of gardening. Have a happy garden. Enjoy the winter time right now. Enjoy planting and getting your gardens ready. Spring will be here before we know it, and we'll be outside planting those first vegetables and fruits into the ground. All right, well, everyone, we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.